Now joining us is Mr. Richard Simon. He's the press secretary for the Prime Minister, and we're going to be talking about the 2 days of mourning for former Prime Minister George Brizan. So good morning, Mr. Simon. How are you doing?
Good morning. Nice to be here.
Welcome
nice
to Daybreak.
Absolutely. Nice to be here.
Welcome to the studio.
Indeed. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're in 2 days of mourning now for George Brizan. What type of events and activities are happening over the next 2 days?
Well, first of all, good morning. Thanks for having me as well. Over the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, this morning at 9 o'clock, the body will leave the crematorium, crematorium, for the Trade Center, where the body will lie in state for the next, day and a half. The Governor General, Prime Minister, members of Cabinet, dignitaries, family will basically pay the last respects. Final viewing this morning at from 10 o'clock. That will run to about 11:30, and then the public is invited to as well do their own file pass, their own last respects to Mr. Brizan, who will be lying in state at the Trade Center for the rest of today up to 5:30 this afternoon. There's a guest book that will be available for persons, a condolence book rather, that will be made available to persons to write their names in, to pass on best wishes to the family, to express their condolences and sympathies. And there'll also be a small exhibition of the work of Mr. Brizan that will be on display there as well. There'll be members of the Royal Graded Police Force who will be on hand to form an honor guard or take up sentry positions around the casket. As well as the members of the protocol department who will be kind of being the ushers for the day, directing people through the center. So we're hoping that as many people as possible go down to pay their last respects to a man who has made a tremendous contribution to Grenada, whether it's in the field of education, economics, agriculture. I think he's best known for education and agriculture, but he's really made a significant contribution to a large number of people through his teaching profession, of course, and then, of course, to that relationship that he's developed over the years with farmers because of his love for agriculture. So we hope that as many people as possible use the opportunity to go down to the Trade Center to pay the last respects there. As well, there will be members of the family there who will be available to speak with and to interact with members of the public who are coming in. But that starts at 11:30 for the public. But at 10 o'clock, dignitaries and Governor General, Prime Minister, and so on will start the process at the Trade Center.
Okay, and that's until 5:30.
Until 5:30 this afternoon.
Okay. Is this going to be televised or broadcast over radio?
It will be broadcast on. It will be televised via GIS. That will be available to the public as well on GIS.
All right. So 2 days of mourning. What are people required to do for the 2 days?
Flags on national buildings and hopefully private sector buildings who fly flags now will be flown at half-mast for as a mark of respect. And that's other people will wear their black ribbons or as a sign of mourning and so on. So that's part of what will happen today.
Okay.
And tomorrow, what is the...
But tomorrow is the funeral. As you know, tomorrow the funeral will start at 12:30 at the Roxbury Church in St. Paul's. I had invited with me here this morning a police officer who will talk through the traffic arrangements, because in light of the fact that it's a state funeral, you have certain protocols that go with that, and therefore we expect significant disruption in traffic in St. Paul's and on Lucas Street, because those will be two centers of activity for the funeral. But tomorrow morning, the cortege will leave the Trade Center at 9 o'clock, wind its way through at less than full speed to the Roxbury Church in St. Paul's. Should arrive there about 10 o'clock. It will again the coffin will be opened to allow persons who have not gone to the Trade Center or persons to get the final viewing of the body. It will be met there by the Honor Guard, Corps of Special Services Unit. Members will be there as well to welcome the casket into St. Paul's. And there will be a series of tributes starting at 11 o'clock to 12:30. That will be all the organizations he's interacted with, persons he has taught, close friends, family, and of course government officials as well. So that will happen from 11 to 12:30. Did I say that? From 11 to 12:30, and then the funeral starts at 12:30. We expect a mass that will last for about 2 hours. So by 2:45, the procession will make its way down to Lucas Street. There'll be a procession that will be led by the Special Services Unit, members of the Royal Grenadier Police Force, and other uniformed groups that will form at the foot of the junction of Old Fort and Lucas Street.
Okay.
And they will lead the hearse and the mourners up to the top cemetery where he'll be buried.
Okay.
So that's going to be kind of the disruption of traffic tomorrow.
Right.
So the police have, from what I know about that, is that portion of the road between the Greens and St. Paul's, that roundabout on the Greens and St. Paul's, and the police station will be cut off to vehicular traffic. So all traffic will make its way into Mardi Gras and down Good Hope or down the other side of Mardi Gras into Pedmata. Persons can come back into St. Paul's via that route from Good Hope to the police station, but they won't be able to pass the police station.
Oh.
That's will be the disruption in that situation. On Lucas Street, we expect that the roadway top of Cemetery Hill to the roundabout on Lucas Street, Government House, Upper Government House, will have some issues regarding traffic from about 2:30 in the afternoon, because they're making preparations for the arrival of the body and the funeral procession. So I think that those are the two main areas that will be affected by the traffic. Of course, there'll be two busy periods. If the roads are close to 9 o'clock in the morning in St. Paul's, you'll have some issues for motorists there. So persons who are using that roadway are asked to make alternative arrangements, either through Mardi Gras or through Mondelez out to Springs in that route.
Right. Okay. All right. Just back to, you said there's going to be a presentation today at the Trade Center of his work. Is it going to be a video presentation? Is it something that they could see on the TV, or you have to go down to the Trade Center?
You have to go down to the Trade Center. Well, the cameras will be there as well, but what is happening is a display of his books and his writings and so on. So that will be there as a small exhibition, and someone will be there to accompany that, to give some explanations to those who will want to ask questions.
Okay, so if you're interested in seeing his work, you best go down to the Trade Center to take it in.
Correct.
All right.
Well, is the funeral, is it open to the public tomorrow?
The funeral is open to the public, seating in the church, and that's I think is important for me to make the point that seating in the church is by invitation only.
Okay.
If you know, Roxborough Church is quite, I don't want to say small, but it's in the context of a state funeral, there's not a lot of seating.
Right.
Because of course, one of the protocols of the state funeral is the contingents of the RGPF, prison services and so on, and you must make room for them inside of the church. That's been discussed with the family. And what I'm saying here is the family has been totally involved in the process. In fact, although it's a state funeral, the family must be integrally involved in the planning of it. And so the family and Mr. Brizan wanted to be churched at Roxborough and St. Paul's, and that's his wish, so we have to respect that.
Right.
And therefore, the church being small, they've sent out cards to folks who will sit inside of the church, but there's overflow areas outside. There's tents outside, there's audiovisual support outside as well, including large screens and so on for persons who will want to sit under those tents, who can have access to what's going on inside. Yes.
Okay. All right.
All right. So that pretty much covers the 2 days of mourning and activities.
Yes, I think the critical thing we'd like to suggest to folks, especially those who are on the St. Paul's main road, to be aware of that and to begin to plan alternative routes now, because we're hoping there's no congestion. Of course, again, I go back to my initial point, that is a man who has made a significant contribution to Grenada. And therefore, we don't think that we should spare any effort in giving him what is due to him.
Right. So one more time, just recap the busy periods and which parts on the road.
St. Paul's, between the police station and the Greens roundabout in St. Paul's.
From what time?
Will be from about 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30, because the body's arriving at the church at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
So we have that area of concern for persons coming to work and so on during that period. And then that area between Upper Lucas Street, the roundabout, and the
foot of
the top of Cemetery Hill.
Yes, right.
That roundabout there. So persons coming up Church Street can go down Cemetery Hill, but they won't be able to turn up, and that will be around 1 o'clock in the afternoon to prepare for all that's happening in that area.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Simon, for
thanks
coming and sharing this with us.
Yeah, wish you well.
So there you have it, right? So we have 2 days of mourning for our late Prime Minister George Brizan. All right. So you heard it all, folks. If you're interested in going on to see a presentation of his work, you can go down to the Trade Center today at
from 11 o'clock.
From 11 o'clock this morning. All right. All right. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Okay.